Greetings, sisters and brothers of TBS Sigma. This is Jonathan Markowski, National President, with another 8 to 5 minute. As we get into National Convention season, we're now less than 30 days away. On-time registration has closed, and we have our delegate and proxy forms in. I wanted to talk through the seating of delegates procedure. For those of you who've never attended a national convention before, this can be, it's one of the first things, items of business that we do, is to seat all of the delegates and proxies from all of the chapters, and it can be tedious and confusing, so I just want to walk through the rules that we have for seating delegates and give you an example of what it will look like. So seating happens in multiple rounds. In the first round, anyone who is the selected delegate from their chapter takes their seat. So if you are the person from your chapter who's been selected, then you will be told to come forward and claim the chapter's seat. Once those seats are claimed by active and associate members, if there are any open seats with a life member present, then one of the perks of being a life member is that you can claim a seat for your chapter at National Convention if there are no active members present. So we do all the actives first, then we do all the life members for people representing their home chapters. After that, we start seating proxies. So in the first set of proxies, we call it round 2, chapters who have filed proxy forms, we will look to see who they've selected as a proxy, and if there is an alternate delegate from that chapter, then we will seat it. Chapters can select up to 3 proxy chapters, so if the first proxy chapter doesn't have any available alternate delegates, then we go to the second proxy chapter, then we go to the third proxy chapter, and if there are still no available delegates, for example, if a chapter has proxied 3 chapters that also didn't send anyone, then that seat will go into round 3. In that last final round, what we do is all of the seats that are still open, we go down the alphabetical list of chapters in order, starting with whatever chapter we left off with at last National Convention. So in 2019, we're going to start with the Gamma Xi chapter. And then we'll go down alphabetically through every chapter. And again, that can be very tedious because we're trying to call every chapter in alphabetical order. And so we do try to skip any chapter that we already know doesn't have any, but this can all take some time. So I just kind of wanted to walk through what that looks like, and hopefully you will understand what we're trying to do and be listening and be attentive and make sure that things go smoothly and efficiently. The other piece of this is the information that I'm about to show you in the spreadsheet is accurate as of today. It has all of the delegate and proxy information that I have as of today, but I have not cross-referenced it with any registrations. I also have not accounted for any of the delegates that may be participating in the National Intercollegiate Band. If you are participating in National Intercollegiate Band and you are the only person from your chapter, then we will hold a seat for you so that that seat does not go to proxy. However, if there is anyone else from your chapter that's available to sit, they need to claim the seat because you will be in rehearsal and the delegates will be voting for the Board of Trustees. So we really need all the seats filled if possible. However, if you are the only person from your chapter, we don't want to send that to proxy if you are going to be there for the rest of business. So that's the deal with NIB seats. We'll talk through a little bit of these stages again, and then I will catch up with you at the end of the video. Certainly, if there are any questions or if you see anything that is not correct, send me an email, jonathanmarkowski@tbsigma.org. In round 1, chapters who have sent a delegate from their home chapter, active members, will claim seats. This list is compiled of all the delegates who have submitted delegate forms. So if your chapter president did not submit a delegate form, then your name may not be on this list. Please send me an email so that we make sure that we have all of the chapters who are sending delegates from their chapter listed properly. That's round one. Then we proceed to the life member round. I have cross-referenced registration to see if there are any life members from chapters that are not sending delegates. I have reached out to some life members and heard back yeses or nos about whether or not they would claim the seat, although many life members have not responded, and some life members who are part of national leadership would not be available to take those seats. So I have filled in some life members who might claim those seats, but otherwise things will move to proxy. Now, proxy forms, again, I have cross-referenced all of the proxy forms that have been submitted on time for each of the chapters. As I said earlier, each chapter has the opportunity to select up to 3 chapters to proxy for it if they don't send a delegate. Those chapters will be called and then asked if they have any alternate delegates. And so, as you can see in this chapter, their first proxy did have an alternate delegate, and so that delegate was seated. That process will continue for the open seats to show all of the proxies who are seated based on proxy forms. Again, if your chapter did not submit a proxy form, or if you proxied chapters that are not sending delegates, then we can't fill the seats based on proxies. We move to round 3. In round 3, we have an alphabetical listing of those chapters available, still having alternates available to be seated. And so from the list of chapters, alphabetically, again starting with Gamma Xi because that's where we left off in 2017 in Orlando, we begin to fill in the alphabetical seats. And we will continue to do that based on Greek alphabet listing and chapters availability of proxy delegates until all seats are filled. In closing, we will end up with every chapter with a delegate or a proxy seat. When a proxy is seated for the chapter, that proxy will act on behalf of the chapter. They will follow their placard. They will go where that chapter is supposed to go. They will be assigned to a committee based on that chapter. And one last thing. We have to ensure that we abide by the +1 rule, which means that all chapters, at the end of the day, no chapter can have more than one more vote than the next chapter that has the greatest number of votes. So as you can see, I've created a pivot table that is counting as we go to make sure that the chapter with the highest number of votes at most has only one more vote than the next highest number of votes assigned to a chapter. So hopefully all of that made sense. Again, I have not cross-referenced with NIB. I have not cross-referenced with registration. And in order to be seated, you do have to be in the room on time. So even if your name is on the list and you're the delegate from your chapter, if you are not there when your chapter is called, you will lose your opportunity to be seated. So please make sure you are there. Opening joint gavel is 2 p.m. Central Time. On Tuesday, we have an opening joint session that'll last about an hour. Separate session gavel should be about 3 o'clock, so please make sure you are in the right space at the right time to get that seat, because we will hit the ground running. We've got a lot of business to do during that week, and we hope to see you there.